Everybody, welcome to In the Red Zone. Michael Johnston here with you. Yes, we are still here. We are still somewhat active. I know we haven't had a video up for a while. We haven't been here to talk, but this has just been a crazy situation with the pandemic, and it's just, we don't know what's happening. Everything's changing day to day. And of course now, the reason I'm here talking to you now is because normally by this point in the year, I would already start having preview videos up of the conferences, different teams. And as you've noticed, we haven't done any of that right now, and it's because we just don't know what's going to happen. And since the last time that I sat down to talk to all of you, we've had a lot of changes. We've had conferences decide to go to conference-only schedules and eliminate non-conference games. And since then, we've even had some more developments in the last few days, one of which UConn became the first school to decide to cancel football for 2020 for fall. And then just recently, within the past couple of days, the Mid-American Conference decided no football, no sports of any kind in the fall. They plan to play football in the spring. So that has had a cascade effect because since then, a lot of FCS conferences have done the same. For instance, the conference Missouri State is in, they were supposed to play Oklahoma first game of the season. Their conference has now said, we're playing in the spring. However, they're telling individual schools, if you have non-conference games in the fall, it's up to you if you want to play those. So what's that going to look like? And then, of course, the Mid-American Conference now canceling their season, playing in the spring. And so now we know that there is an emergency meeting going to be held between Big Ten athletic directors, presidents, school presidents, and the reality is this: even though it's not official, college football is not happening in fall of 2020. It's not going to happen. It's only a matter of time. Later this week, I'm sure we're going to see the Pac-12. They have players who less about COVID-19 than other things like social justice, but they're having all these demands if they're going to play. If not, they're going to sit out. And like I said, that has little to do with the virus and more to do with other things. But the Pac-12, Big 12 seem to be lock in step. One does one thing, the other follows suit. They were the first two conferences to say we're going to play a conference-only schedule, and then everybody else followed suit. I think this week, within the next few days, you're going to hear that the Pac-12 and Big 10 are going to decide, and I apologize, I think I said Big 12, but I meant Big 10. They follow suit, and I think we're going to find that the Pac-12 and the Big 10 are going to cancel fall football. I think that's what's just going to happen. And then, there were two athletic directors within Power 5 conferences that told CBS News today, or CBS Sports, I should say, but they wouldn't give their names because they didn't want to be the ones out there saying this. But basically, they said, it's inevitable that they're going to cancel college football in fall of 2020, with the plan being to play in the spring. So it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So I'm just going to put it out there now. We're not having college football in 2020. We're just going to have to find other things to do. Yes, that puts a lot of things in limbo. And yes, there are concerns about player safety, but let's be honest, it's not so much about player safety as it is, players are going to get the virus. Whether we play or not, players are going to get it, students are going to get it, fans are going to get it. And it doesn't matter whether they're in the stadium or they stay at home or they go to Walmart or they go to 7-Eleven. People are going to get it. It's just going to happen. But what this boils down to is that no university president and no athletic director wants to be the one who decided to play and then a player gets COVID-19 and dies from it. Because it's a possibility. It's a low possibility, but it is a possibility. And nobody wants to be the one responsible. No one wants to take the heat to say you cared about money over player safety. So everybody's playing it safe, ultra safe. And these presidents above all else. Players want to play. Trevor Lawrence has tweeted out they want to play. Athletic directors want to play. But at the end of the day, these college presidents are the ones who get to decide. And most of them are very left-leaning, liberal. They're just not going to chance it. They're not. They're going to follow suit with the liberal leaders of cities and states in this country who have shut down. They're going to shut down. It's just what's going to happen. So it puts a lot of things in limbo. TV networks, and then small blog websites, our YouTube channel. You know, we don't know what we're going to do. You know, I'll get in front of the camera from time to time, give some updates or talk about, give my opinion, but everybody's in limbo right now and nobody knows what's going to happen. So let's just go ahead and assume, let's go ahead and say the college football season does not happen in 2020 and it moves to the spring. Now, after these presidents make this decision, there's a lot of logistics that goes into playing football in the spring, which will also impact what happens in fall of 2021. Because if you play spring football, and if you assume we're going to have a national championship game in the, you know, late spring, they only have a few months off and then they come back in the fall. So what's that mean? Well, the presidents will have to hammer this out, and there's a lot of questions. One, if you play in the spring, is it going to be a full schedule? Is it going to be conference only? In fall of 2021, are you going to play a full schedule? Does that mean you're going to have to cut that one back too and play conference only because of such a short period of time off? How is it going to impact the NFL draft? Will players like Justin Fields, who would be eligible for the draft this spring, do they skip spring football and go in the draft? Does the NFL move the draft? A lot of unanswered questions there. What happens with incoming freshmen who would get done with high school and then they go and they enroll early so that they can play in the spring for spring ball? Now, if you're playing the season in the spring, are they eligible? Do you expand the 85 scholarships to include them for a year or two? What happens with transfers? People that want to transfer. You know, Tua Tagovailoa's brother left Alabama, went to Maryland. He's immediately eligible. Does the NCAA consider a moratorium on transfers, which might be a possibility? There's a lot of unanswered questions that have to be hammered out. And I'm not real confident that those questions will get answered, because going into this pandemic in March, we now know that all these athletic directors and college presidents never had a plan. They never had a plan. Their plan was to hope the virus went away. A lot of people thought it would. I thought it would too. In the summer, I thought it would kind of die off, and it didn't. So I was wrong there. But they didn't have a plan. I kind of feel like they're going to go into the spring the same way. They're just hoping by spring we have a vaccine, or it's died down and they can play. I don't think they have a plan to play if the virus is still around, which means then you cancel the spring and now you're just looking at 2021. Are you guys who are going to be seniors this year, do you give them an extra year of eligibility? I hope so. But again, that brings in the question of scholarships, because you have an extra year of players sticking around. Are you still going to limit scholarships, which hurts high school kids coming in, limits the amount of scholarships? Just a lot of questions. And I encourage all of you to comment, give me your opinion, but you know, it's an opinion. This is my opinion. Anything you say is your opinion, because absolutely right now, there are no facts and there is no hard yes and no to questions. There is no right or wrong answer about what's going to happen to answer some of these questions or going forward. So overall, it's extremely disappointing. And what's more disappointing for me is that at least here in Oklahoma, they're going full tilt forward with high school football in the fall. Right now, the only school I know of in the state of Oklahoma that is not going to allow fans at the games is Putnam City School District in Oklahoma City metro area. They are not going to allow fans. Everybody else is looking at a 50% capacity. And some of these schools around here, such as the Putnam City schools, have extremely big stadiums. I mean, they could at least allow parents and spread them out and things like that. It can be done, but they're opting just nobody. But they're still going to play. All the high schools start practice this week. They're going full at it. And, you know, there's a ton of high schools in this country. And if high schools can pull it off, I think colleges can pull off playing too. So it's very disappointing that they're going to cancel the season. Now, the difference, there is a difference. Let me be clear about that. Let me be honest. There is a difference between college and high school, and it's the travel. Because high school kids, it's a bus ride and come back. They're not going, most of them. Now, you have national games, the big schools that on the national stage who do travel state to state and play. But for the most part, nearly all high school games in state, it's a bus ride there and back. You're not spending the night in hotels for the most part. So that is a big difference. But as far as like stadiums and fans and things like that, it's pretty much the same. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about the situation. It's terrible that we're going to be facing this situation, that we're not going to have football in 2020. I feel really bad for students and for student athletes. It's really unfortunate. But people have to make decisions. Unfortunately, I'm not somebody in a position to make one of those decisions, because I guarantee you, if I was one of them, we'd be playing. If it was up to me, we'd be playing. But it's not up to me. So I think that's it. There have been a lot of players, not a lot, but there's been a handful of players in each conference opt not to play this year, some focusing on the NFL draft. NFL is still up in the air. I mean, I know they plan on playing, but, when it comes right down to it, when we get to the 1st of September and it's first week, I mean, are we going to have games? Because, there's at least 4 NFL teams that aren't going to have fans. They've already announced it, Las Vegas being one of them. It's going to cost the league billions if you play a season but don't have that ticket income and things like that. So, excuse me, that's still up in the air, because certain states are probably going to allow fans. Other states, health departments are going to say no fans, and it's just kind of a hodgepodge. And the thing too, getting back to college football, if you have one Power 5 conference, just one that says we're not playing this fall, we're going to play in the spring, everybody else has to pretty much follow suit, because otherwise, anybody you crown as a national champion, it's not legit. It'll never be considered legit. It'll have an asterisk there. I mean, you can't have the ACC and the SEC play their schedule and the other 3 conferences don't play a schedule, don't play, and you're just going to crown a champion out of those 2 conferences. That's not going to work. I mean, and I don't think any team would want that hanging in their stadium, because it's an illegitimate championship at that point. I think it's a foregone that there won't be a playoff. If there was a season, a national championship, it would go BCS style. Committee would pick 2 teams and they play. But at that point, you might not even be able to play a national championship game. So, and to me, I feel like if you're a player, when kids start playing at 4 and 5, 6 years old, they're playing just to play. But at some point, competition and winning matters, especially when you get to the high school level and college level, and you want to play for something. I mean, that's the bottom line. You want to play for something. And if you're going to have a regular season and not have conference championship games, not have a national championship, then what's the point? What are you playing for? Are you just going to play 10 games just to play? I mean, at that level, you don't play just to play. You want to play to win something. And, the NCAA has already canceled all fall championships for all sports except for football right now. So, I mean, the athletes in these other sports, volleyball, I mean, what are you really playing for? I mean, at that point, it becomes a participation trophy, and nobody wants that. I mean, that's boring. I mean, I don't even want to watch the games on TV if they're not playing for something. So that's just my take on it. So anyway, I'd love to hear you guys' opinion on this. Please comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit that notification bell if you want to know when we have new videos uploaded. And I don't know how often we're going to be on here. Shaun was not available tonight to do this with me. I was hoping he could, because it would have been some great back and forth debate. But he's got things going on. We all do. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on what's going on. In the meantime, if there's any kind of videos you want us to talk about, any subjects you want us to talk about, shoot it in the comments and we'll take a look at those. And, just sorry it's come down to this, and I hope everybody sticks with us. I know we've had 30 or so people unsubscribe. It's expected, but I hope most of you will stick with us. We'll try to get some content up, get some videos up as much as possible. It's just right now we're kind of in limbo. So probably next week we'll have another one talking about the developments. I'm sure by then we will have it official that there's no college football. That's what I'm expecting. But in the meantime, you guys take care. Take care of yourselves. God bless you and your families, and I'll see you next time. Take care.